Welcome to Computer Science Learn. This video is about the introduction of the C programming language. So I'm going to post the videos of C programming language step by step. So this is the very first video of it. So this is the beginning. So in this video we are going to discuss some basic factors of C programming language. Today we have many programming languages out there. Very easy and convenient programs we have today. For example, Python, Java, C++, C#, just like that. But still, why we need to learn C programming language? This is what very basic question all of us. Okay, we have so advanced languages today. Why we need to learn C programming language? The main difference in between the other programming language which I listed here, those languages are object oriented programming, OOPS concept. But the C, it's not like that. We said that C is partially high level language. It's not a totally high level language. So you know that how the computer hardware is actually works. We actually give instruction to the system as through by the high level language. So the compiler translate your high level language instructions into the assembly language. So finally from the assembly language, assembler convert into the zeros and ones code. Also after that, the zeros and one codes, the linker and loader, it match it with their actions. They are called the tokens, like that. Okay, we will discuss it later. By the way, the C programming language, it's not fully high level language, it's partially high level language. Why? Because the C it's near the C programming codes very near to hardware. That's why still it's popular. So okay, today the C programming languages are till now we are going to write drivers, the device drivers. For example, if you are connecting any external device with your computer, such as printer or Bluetooth devices or any other external devices with your operating system, till now we are used to write those codings, the driver the coding in a C programming language. So that is why the C programming is very important. As many of the operating systems kernel and core, it's still now written by C programming language. And so this is very fastest one. Why? It's directly connected with the hardware. Okay, so that's why this is very important. By the way, we didn't use C programming language directly today. Under one point I missed. So in a gaming applications, mostly need to access the hardware. It's consume a huge amount of hardware resources. Many of the gaming applications which are written by the C programming based frameworks. So that is the main core of it. So, C programming language as a beginner, why you need to learn a C programming language? It is a very fundamental, it's a fundamental concept, and you need to understand the computer programming language. C is a base. Once you figure out everything in a C language, after then it's easy to understand another languages. If you want to become a programmer, you must start to learn programming from C. Okay, so that is a proper roadmap for a programmer. Maybe you didn't use a C. Yeah, I hope maybe you don't use the C programming language, but if you want to know the basics and fundamental of computer programming language, how it work with the hardware and operating systems together, everything is available only in the C programming language. That's why. Okay, so in this video, so there's a very basic topics only we are going to cover. Firstly, the C character set. A character denote and any alphabets, it's a digits or special symbols used to represent information. So what are the character sets or uses in a C? We are going to use constants, variables, keywords which we used in a C programming language. So firstly, what is mean by the constant, variable and keywords? The alphabets, numbers and special symbols when properly combined for constants, variable and keywords. So they followed one set of rules to create these constants, variables and keywords. Okay, and what is mean by constant? An entity that does not change, that is called constant. What is called variables? An entity that may change. Here you have to know the proper difference in between constant into the variables. For example, everything, what are the entities that not change? Those are considered as a constant. In this case, the constant, what are the example for a constant? Here we have types of constants. Firstly, we go with the primary constant, and secondly we go with the secondary constants. It's quite hard to understand why we called it a constant. In a primary constant, it classified into three categories. Number one, integer constant, real constant, character constant. In a secondary constant, array, pointers, structures, union, enum, etc. First, what is a constant? Okay, here I gave you one example, number in an integer constant. What is a integer constant? You know, in generally integer number. The integer, any number, so any integer number, for example number 8 or minus 8. The 8 value always 8, it never gonna be changed. Okay, if you define number 8 is your this is a constant, never change. That's okay. Whenever if you learned a microprocessor at the time, the computer organization design codes, so this is very important topic. Okay, so we will discuss it at the course later. So nextly, the types of variables. Okay, as I told you earlier, the variables are actually the entity value vary. Okay, so the variables names are names given to the location in memory. Actually, the variable it's not denote to the value, the entity value directly. So that is the difference in between the constant to the variable. The variable is actually represent the given location in a memory. Uh, our our data is actually stored in our memory in a sequence of memory locations we have. So in the sequence of memory locations, somewhere your data is stored. It's not only stored in a single memory location, it's stored in a group of memory location. So if you want to represent those group of memory locations as a single name, that is called as a variable. Okay, so that is mean the variable name. So these locations can contain integer, real numbers, and character constants also. In any language, the type of variable that it can support depend on types of constants that it can handle. For example, if you are going to define one variable in the C programming language, it must be represented to its relevant constant. For example, integer variable, the variable declaration, integer a, integer b, if you are going to define just like that, it must be relevant to its constant. Once you define the variable is an integer, the variable declaration, you declared that it is an integer variable, you cannot provide into that integer variable the float number or character. So this is a rule here. This is because particular types of variable can hold only the same type of constant. That's a meaning. So that's a relationship in between the variables into the constant. For example, an integer variable can hold only the integer constant. That is an example for it. So next, the rules for constructing variable names. How to define a variable names? This is very important. Okay, this rule most probably applicable to all programming language, mostly, but some programming language differ, but the concept, the base is same to all programming language. So this firstly, in a C, the variable name is any combination of 1 to 31 alphabets, which it may contain the alphabets, digits, or underscore. So the variable length, which defined based on your capacity of the compiler. Okay, it is so your compiler must allow to the size. Okay, if your compiler may allow, you can use more than 31 the variable in the more than 31 digits. Okay, that's may be allowed, but it's not probably advisable. Why? Because you have to figure out the proper variable name, meaningful and relevant and small as much as possible for your words. Okay, don't provide the variable name a, b, c just like that. Okay, so you have to provide the variable name meaningful to your system, to your program. The second rule, the first character in the variable name must be an alphabet or underscore. So this is very important. You cannot start with the variable name as a number. For example, Here you see that integer a, it's a variable name, right now integer 9b, it's not a variable name, so here so this IDE denotes to as the error. Okay, so the first character in the variable name must be an alphabet or underscore. Next, the comma or blanks are allowed within variable or not allowed, which is not allowed within a variable name. For example, here I am going to provide the variable name integer a comma b. It considered that I defined two variable names. Okay, so the comma or blank space, if I give the blank space, this is not also allowed. Here you see that this is also denote as the error. And the next one, no special symbols, no special characters other than underscore. Okay, you can create the variable name without using any special characters except underscore. For example, here integer a underscore b, so this is a single variable name, there is no error. And right now here I am going to provide a, so for example here I am going to provide a, here this is not a variable declaration. Why? Because this is a, here I am using the special character plus, which means it's lead to us to add a plus b, but this is not a proper code declaration and variable declaration also. So here is an example, the type of declaration is done the beginning of the program. That's very important in a C. In a C programming language, you have to define the variable declaration in the beginning. So why? Because this is not a why? Because in a OOPS in another programming language, object-oriented programming languages, you can define a variable name in anywhere else you want, within a class, within a method, anywhere else. But in here, if you want to avoid the error and future problems, you have to define all variable in a first. Why? Because the C compiler execute the program line by line from the beginning, the main programming. So you have to define the main program in a first one. So from the beginning it execute the program line by line. So it cannot if you define in between the programming language your variable name, it may be lead to you the error. Okay, so we will discuss it later why we need to define it in the beginning. So I will explain it in our coming videos through by the program. Okay, next here the C compiler is able to distinguish between the variable name by making it compulsory for you to declare the type of any variable name, so that you wish to use the program. For example, here I didn't define AB is my variable name. If I going to use it, the C compiler didn't recognize what is mean by AB. Why? It is I'm not define it right now. Here I'm going to define integer AB as an integer. Okay, just I'm going to define it. So this is also the error because we didn't properly recognize it. So this is it. If your compiler want to recognize your variable, you must declare the variable. You must declare your variable name in what type of it. So this is an integer variable name. Okay, so nextly the keywords. The keywords is very important of your C programming language. Not only the C programming language, all programming languages. What is the mean by the keywords? Keywords are the words whose meaning has already been explained to the compiler, which means it's every programming language own their library. In this library have this detail, which means that what is how to define your programming language, all the functions and methods and everything else, the rules and regulations for this, which means the syntax and semantics rules, and what are the keywords which define in your library. So based on this library, you have to define one word as a keyword. You cannot use this keyword as a variable name. For example, here okay, for example, integer for. I cannot use for is my key, it's my variable name. Why? It's a for is a keyword. Next, integer if. I cannot define if is my keyword, it's my variable name, because if is actually the keyword. So that's a meaning. So the keyword cannot use as a variable name. So this is not only for C. So from the C programming language, all other programming languages are involved. So you cannot define a variable name. You cannot define keyword as a variable name. Nextly, the keywords are called reserved words, which reserve in your compiler, which already explained to the compiler. This is a keyword. So in a C programming language, there are 32 keywords available in a C. So it may be vary in another programming language. So these are all the reserved keywords of C programming languages. So auto, break, case, character, constant, continue, default, do, double, else, enum, extern, float, for, go to, if, integer, long, register, return, short, signed, size of, static, struct, switch, type diff, union, unsigned, void, volatile, and while. So these are all the very keywords available in our C. Okay, so this is it. I hope you understood this video. So if you have any question or any doubt, you can ask me. So this is a long video. Why? Because you need to know the fundamental concepts, the basic fundamental concepts of it. So that's why I take too much of time to explain this. Who is a beginner who want to know the base of the programming language, so this is helpful for them. Okay, so if you want to know the concepts, fundamental concepts, detailedly you need to know, so you can follow me and like this video and share this video to your friends. Okay, hopefully I will give you the more knowledge. I will share more knowledge to you. Okay, see you later in a video. Subscribe. CSLearn. Bye.